Okay. Okay, we're getting our technology set up here. Just a moment.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, it's Monday, August 3rd, 2020, 9 a.m. This is the Muscatine County Board of Supervisors. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Scott, are you out with us out there? Bill, do you see him dialed?
Yes, I'm here, Jeff.
Okay, thank you, Scott. I'll make sure I don't forget you. I don't see your smiling face. Okay. First item on the agenda is to review the agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Santos, a second by Nathan. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, the same? Motion carries. Okay, item number 3 is presentation of the final draft of the 2020 Muscatine County Multi-Jurisdiction Local Hazard Mitigation Plan with Emergency Manager Brian Wright. That was a mouthful for me, apparently. Okay.
Good morning. I'm here to request that the board adopt the 2020 Muscatine County Multi-Jurisdictional Hazard Mitigation Plan. This plan is updated every 5 years. This process began a year ago with assistance from the Bi-State Regional Commission and consisted of planning committees meeting to update the 2015 plan. This involved collecting data on recent hazards and events, discussing the hazard mitigation planning overview, reviewing hazard profiles, and ranking them. It also included 2 public hearings, one held in West Liberty and the other here in Muscatine. This plan will meet the requirements of the Disaster Mitigation Act of 2000. It requires local government to develop and submit mitigation plans as a condition of receiving project grants under 4 FEMA programs. One of those programs is the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program. Muscatine County has successfully used the HMPG program to acquire flood damaged residential properties following the 1993 and 2008 floods. The West Liberty Community School District has also used HMPG funds to construct a tornado safe room. The 2020 plan has been approved by FEMA and awaits the board's approval. Once your approval, I will be able to send it out to the other jurisdictions that participated and have their city councils adopt this mitigation plan.
So you mentioned, Brian, HMP funds in West Liberty were allowing them to build a tornado shelter, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that can be done here at the local level as well too, for schools? Or is that just a special case of West Liberty?
The schools were invited this year to participate and they elected not to. It's just a plan that the next 5 years we are able to utilize this. Working with Sarah Gardner, who was formerly with Bi-State Regional, we received a lot of good comments from the evaluators of FEMA. So it's a very well thought out plan that we have. Again, it's an option for the funding if somebody chooses to use that, participate in.
I will say the Muscatine City Schools are building or in the process of building the storm shelter out at the stadium
Yeah.
in
I know.
conjunction with their renovations.
And I know that was a big discussion that had come through. And
Oh yeah, that was a fun one.
So my thoughts were is that if there's funds available for that, because that project was an extremely high cost due to that tornado shelter, so.
Yes, yes it was.
Okay, well, thank you, Brian. I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Okay, so that you're making those to approve the resolution.
Correct.
Okay, I have a motion by Santos. I have a second by Doug. It will be a motion and a second to approve resolution 0803-2001 approval and adoption of the Muscatine County Multi-Jurisdiction Local Hazard Mitigation Plan. This is a roll call vote. Santos?
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Nathan?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Motion carries. Okay, item number 4, items with county treasurers, Amy Zybar. Boy, I got some stuff going on this morning. I don't know what it is.
Take a drink of that.
Good morning, Amy. Yeah, I'm gonna have some of that, more of my tea, I think. Holy cow.
So the first one is just the resolution of my repositories. There's really no change except we took off Bankers Trust that had been on there before. I was told by one set of auditors at one time that we needed to list our bond money, but it isn't a depository, so I clarified and I don't need to do that. So that's all we're doing is correcting the resolution.
Okay,
I'll move to approve the resolution as presented.
okay, so I have a motion by Santos,
Second.
second by Nathan. Any discussion? This is a roll call vote. Santos?
Aye.
Nathan?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Motion carries. Item B is discussion possible action to approve an investment policy for Muscatine County, Iowa.
And this again is another cleanup item. I neglected to put this on my letterhead, so it was still reading Cherry Kaufman, so we cleaned that up, put it on my letterhead, made no changes, but,
Okay.
just a cleanup item.
Amy, what is the significance of 397 days on that policy?
That's in the code, so that we can't do long-term investments. They don't want us to lock up the money any longer than that, which,
I just
Yes,
didn't know why they
makes
didn't
sense,
say
'cause rate
365 or what was the.
yeah, I have no idea.
Okay.
Okay. So
So I have,
I'd accept a motion.
I'll make the motion
I
to,
have a motion by Santos,
Second.
second by Nathan. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Okay, item number 5 are items with the county engineer Keith White.
thank you.
Thank you, Amy.
Yep,
Item 5A is discussion of possible guidance regarding a railroad signal grant on 111th Street of the west side of Atalissa.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, Keith.
This is, in Atalissa, this is known as Oak Street. For us, it's 111th Street. Goes north on the west side of Atalissa off of Highway 6. The corporate limits runs down the center of the road. Atalissa has had in a rail crossing signal, I'm gonna call it improvement grant, put crossing arms there. I really don't know if they're replacing the whole works, probably are. The question is, half of it by code, half of it is ours. Because of the corporate limits, half of the crossing is ours. So we would be a participant in that. Atalissa has some financial challenges, I guess, if you will. So asking the question if we'd be interested in taking up, covering all the local share. So the grant is 60% state, 20% I believe 20% railroad, 20% local. So the total would be 25,000. I said we are definitely on for 12.5. I guess I would support that we participate in this. I'm only bringing it here because it's a little unusual. But we've done crossings, every chance we get, we do crossings. If you go into a town like Moscow that's unincorporated, we're on for the whole nickel. You go into a town like Stockton that is incorporated, but the state or the legislators in their wisdom have given us the road through there, we're on for the whole nickel. So I view this as, Atalissa is not a community that's came to us really asking for anything over my time, where a lot of these others have. I just think, it's a good improvement. Like I said, we've done 50-50 grants with railroads to get crossings improved. rather than the long wait to maybe get it funded, so, I guess I'd like your opinions on funding.
So, exactly what is the full scope of that? I mean, you're basically saying they're putting in new rail crossings, so they're going down, so they're just signals, or?
There are signal arms, and I assume you're, not being a railroad person, I assume you replaced the entire thing. So, and of course, sensors are up and down the line to know
Yeah.
when the arms should come down, when they should go up. So,
Do we know anything about the safety record at that crossing?
I did not, A, try and look it up, B, the city, they wouldn't get the grant if it didn't have safety issues. I don't know that they have to be,
Sure.
how severe they have to be, but if there's no incidents there, then they wouldn't get.
Well, we had a
They wouldn't
major
get-
accident there, 2 years ago?
That's what I thought.
Somewhere in that range, 18 months to 24 months ago, when that sprayer was hit there, and
But
somebody
they've
was
been
seriously
in like 4 years, waiting,
Yeah, so, yeah.
which is typical,
Yeah,
And how much would the total cost to the county be? Would we be on for the full?
25,000,
That's if we took the whole thing.
yes.
So, but we're already
We're on
paying
for
12.5.
we already on
Okay.
for 12.5.
Yeah, I mean, with the safety issue, I think that makes sense.
That's the seal coat on the west side.
Yes. Which they do maintain all the seal coat. They do maintain the entire width of the road over there, even though half of it's ours.
I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, I think it makes sense to do it, it's a safety issue.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Nathan to approve that, and a second by Doug. I don't know if you needed a motion, or would you prefer it, probably?
Sure.
That way you've got, okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same? Motion carries. Thanks for bringing that to us, Keith. Projects update this morning?
Yeah, again, 2 main projects going on, G28. Hire has paved up to the Hilltop Ridgeview subdivision. They are paving today, and the plan is to get to Kincaid, where they'll need to split again to get people in and out one direction or the other. And PCI, the prime, is working on punch list and shoulders behind on the FM portion of the project. Up on Old 6 RF 58, they worked on the culverts over by Walcott last week, and this is twin 54s. They're still working on those this week. They're still working on ditching. There's quite a lot of ditching that has occurred up there. Scott County had requested that, and rightfully so. There are a lot of really shallow ditches there that in big rainwater really goes over the road, so. And they're probably 75% done with that. And we'd hope by the end of the month here, or end of July, that they would be on the subgrade, but they're a little bit behind that. But they didn't intend to start that work until they had all the other work done. But it's still progressing nicely. Questions on any of that?
Looks good.
Keith, do you have anything else this
That's
morning?
all I
Keith?
have.
Good, all right, thank you. Okay, item number 6 is discussion and possible action to approve the minutes of the July 27, 2020 regular meeting.
So moved.
I have a motion by Nathan,
Second.
second by
Says
Santos. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Okay, next on the agenda is correspondence. Santos, did you have any correspondence?
Yeah, I had a call from a city council member in regards to streets on the outside of the city limits, close to the county limits, and wanting questions and understanding where the property lines or the borders are for 25th Street and 47th Street. Areas of concerns that the city is looking at doing some projects there potentially, and wanted some information. So I contacted Keith onto that and asking him for some guidance and following up on that stuff. The email that I forwarded to the rest of the board in regards to the potential of renaming of the bridge on Highway 22 that the individual had gotten from the DNR. Was it the DNR?
DOT.
DOT, I'm sorry, my bad. Then I also got the email from Kurt Weiss in regards to the cabins. I think I'm getting a little bit of Jeff on me this morning. Anyway,
Put a mask on, man.
and I went out to go look at that, and I can only tell you I am plumb amazed at how nice these cabins are. I am just taken back already looking at when can I sign up for some of that stuff to go look at and stay there one day or something. But phenomenal work. Kurt is doing and his team are doing great things out there on that conservation board. So I know Scott's been involved in that as well too, but excited about the future of that. People were walking just the path because it goes right in between there. You could see people just taking pictures of those, and so I think it's a great thing. They were going to start pulling power to them later in the week, last week. So I think that, you know, optimistically they look like maybe sometime in the late fall or early winter those things will eventually be open, and I think they're looking at even future more things that they're looking at doing out there. And yeah, completely really nice. I even took my mom later on that evening just to kind of show her some stuff from they'd already closed the gate up, but she was taken back by it. She's like, I didn't even know this was out here. I'm like, I didn't know I was out there seeing those new cabins. So I'd gotten that email and went out there and followed up with him. I got the email from you, Jeff, in regards to the potential public meeting on utility vehicles that we were following up on still, looking at that. Then I also got an email from Christy Roby Williams in regards to the state taking on the further actions on contact tracings for COVID. And that's all I have.
Nathan?
I got the cabins, I got the ATVs or UTVs, I got the Christy Roby Williams email. I think I got all the same ones that you got. I don't believe I have anything else.
Yeah, I had pretty much the same. I would just make a comment that Christie did notify the board that local public health is gonna no longer do the contact tracing. They're turning that over to the state, who has been doing it pretty much throughout Iowa and has federal funding for that. So that'll take a burden off of local taxpayer dollars and put it back to the state. And I think it's good with the state reporting system and all that they're doing. So I think that's a good move by Christie, and I thank her for sharing that with us. Scott, did you have any correspondence?
I had the email from Kurt regarding setting the cabins down at Deep Lakes, and I have not had an opportunity to go down and actually visually look at that, but certainly looking forward to it. That's the only thing I had.
Thank you. Doug?
I had all the emails you gentlemen had about naming of the bridge, the ATVs, and the cabins.
Okay.
That's all I had.
How about your committee reports, Doug?
No committee reports. I just want to let everybody know that we will be racing this Saturday.
You remember the MCJCC, Doug, and you told me.
Yes, I'm sorry. Thursday, July 30th, 5 o'clock, we have the MCJC meeting virtual.
Very good. Scott, did you have any committees last week?
I did not have any committees last week.
Thank you. I attended the MCJCC as well with Doug, and then I also, on Monday the 27th, I had a virtual meeting with the Mississippi Valley Workforce Area, the local Workforce Development Board meeting. Nathan?
The only thing I had is the Muscatine Community Health Association, a subgroup of us from that we're working on creating a hunger task force, and we had our initial meeting via phone on Friday the 31st.
Oh, I will note on the workforce board, we're trying to set up a training, event at the Merrill. I have some local folks that are gonna sponsor a little, bit of that training to get that in the Merrill. And, they're gonna do a day training, and there might be a social hour in the evening, so if be an opportunity, I'll keep you guys informed, and after to meet some of the other, should be supervisors from a few other counties, and certainly some of the people that volunteer their time for the workforce issues in the area. So if you get an opportunity, I'll make sure you're all aware of it and can come down and stop and see them. Santos?
No comments.
Okay. Item number 9 is items with the administration office. Item 9A is action to affirm the acceptance of an FY 2021 Iowa Grants County's contract between the Iowa Department of Public Health and Muscatine County Board of Health for well testing, well plugging, well reconstruction activities in the amount of $30,300. And I don't think Eric he's not with us, and this is typically something that we get. Eric handles most of the administration and testing activities, and we get this annually. So,
Is this, you guys know if this is the same one that we did last year?
yeah.
Similar to?
And as I recall, I don't think we've ever actually spent all the money. We certainly have more capacity for people who want to take advantage of this.
And it's for the public's information that, it's a simple phone call to the planning and zoning office. It's free of charge, it's provided.
Yeah.
I think the water treatment plant here in Muscatine is the testing facility. They do the test. They'll test your well water. I certainly encourage anyone in the county that's on a private well system to have this done, to make sure you've got good drinking water.
I mean,
Real estate transactions use
Yeah, yeah,
it all the time.
yeah.
and if you're concerned about your water quality, this is definitely an excellent opportunity to check that out.
So I would accept a motion.
I'll make that motion.
So I have a motion by Santos,
I'll second.
second by Nathan. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same? Motion carries. Okay, item 9B is action to approve the July 2020 payroll claims.
Move to approve.
I have a motion by Santos,
Second.
second by Doug. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I hear Scott, did you hear the faint voice?
Sounds like he's turned way down. Maybe he's.
Opposed, the same? Motion carries. Okay, item number C, discussion of possible action to accept a proposal for installation of an irrigation system for the new Muscatine County Maintenance Building and lot at the corner of Fifth and Mulberry. So I had to ask a clarification question to Sherry this morning. So this would include the new building, maintenance facility, and the lot at Fifth and Mulberry, but not the section beside the old jail, in front of the new parking for the city employees there.
Right.
You're gonna bore under the concrete there, but there is everybody's aware that the, I don't know what they're calling themselves, the Friends Group is.
Historic Preservation Commission.
Oh, the Historic Preservation Commission has been working on fundraising for some expanded activities there, and Sherry's kind of advice is they'd had a patio or some other, and she didn't want to put irrigation in and have it, if
Have to
there's,
take it out if
Have-
they raise the money to do the work.
yeah, so this would include everything and putting a sleeve under the driveway
To
for,
that point.
to that
So
point.
if we do add on, everything's ready to go. The reason you're seeing two estimates, one is for the actual irrigation system, that's the $10,619. The $4,331.50 is for the boring under the concrete. Cause that's a subcontract, so.
right,
Instead of, this is the amount that they quoted us, but we're handling it this way, so GSA Turf Services could coordinate that work, and we don't have to coordinate it between them, so he'll handle it.
okay.
Do we normally just get one estimate, or did we get 3 estimates on this, or is
When
that?
we did the irrigation system in the courthouse, we got a number of estimates. Because we wanna maintain the same equipment, and the same control systems, according to our policy, we, you know, this is like kind of like a single source situation where we want to use the same controls, the same equipment throughout, so we did not.
Did you say, Sherry, that historic preservation are trying to put together some money to do something on that corner?
In the historic jail, the Red Brick Historic Jail, yes. Mike Nolan has done a design for them to use for fundraising. They kind of got sidetracked with COVID-19 issues with the fundraising. But that plan showed like double doors out the walnut side of the building onto maybe a paver patio, you know, with some entertainment space possibly there. So that's why, you know, when we said, give us a quote on a plan, I said, let's not run irrigation there because we don't want them to go over the top of it or have to move it. That maybe it makes sense when we figure out what's gonna happen there, then it can be added in. But that's your call. I mean, I don't know what the timeline is for them. It was kind of on the fast track and COVID-19 hit, and Lisa isn't able to do the fundraising meetings that, you know, and she's home with her 2 young children, so that slowed it down a bit. But my guess is when she's able, that'll pick back up in her.
Well, I, you know, the comment I made to Sherry when we talked about this morning was that I'm so pleased with the grounds and how they've come along in the last 5 to 7 years, that the courthouse looks much better than it ever has. Now we've got the jail looking good, and I want to see that corner of Fifth and Mulberry cleaned up and looking nice. And with the new facility there, I'd really like to see something that is easier for them to maintain, so our maintenance staff can keep it a nice, attractive area in the center of the downtown here. So if it were me, I'd probably roll the dice and spend a few $1,000s and get this irrigation in so we can maintain it. And if they're successful, and I truly hope they are, then we'd reconfigure it at that time, because I think it just makes it easier for our staff to keep the grounds looking presentable and in a nice shape. So
Yeah, absolutely.
that's kind of where I was at, but whatever the board was interested in doing, I'd be okay with.
Sherry, as far as the irrigation system, that's where we currently have our underground geothermal, correct? So do they have a good plan when they go into doing the directional boring? I mean, you really don't know what you're hitting unless they know exactly what's not there or what's there.
They'll just trench for the irrigation system on the lot, but we've got some concrete to, because we paid as part of the maintenance building to go from the water main under the building to the Mulberry side of the building. But to do the front of the new maintenance building, they've got to bore under sidewalks, under the driveways, so they'll be away from the.
So you know they're gonna be away from our
No, they're not boring in areas where we have.
Well, that's what I'm asking for.
The
just
only
making sure.
area that they will have to trench is over on the other end, and that was designed and everything was put in so you could put a 42-inch frost footing in over
Okay.
that whole area. So they shouldn't be boring irrigation below 48 inches, I would not.
No, they shouldn't, but I mean, I was just asking, well, I mean, one, I don't know if we normally do like a one call on that stuff, or if they do that.
We have, it's GPSed, I mean, we have locators on it, and we have good diagrams of where they are, but they're deep enough that this irrigation trenching shouldn't run into any of it, but we'll provide them with the map. But since you brought that up, when we've had issues, when the weather is terribly hot and humid, with the geothermal system keeping up, at one point, a couple of years ago, it was suggested that we put an irrigation system on that lot to help cool that field, so it serves a dual purpose there.
See,
And we, you know,
Now
I
you're
said, I
convincing
think
me
we'll
more to do it.
consider that,
okay.
but we did some work on reversing valves in the vault that seemed to have taken care of the problem we had. We don't know if they were installed incorrectly or just it was designed differently than it needed to be, but we did that work before this hot weather, and the courthouse did not have to be shut down, because typically that happens when it gets really hot in the afternoon. system down because that building holds the cool air, so unless they hear their fan stop working, they don't even know it's been shut down, but we did not, after this work was done, we did not have to do that, and we've had some pretty brutal weather.
Yeah, with the, you know, with the lack of activity there too might have helped with that, with the doors open and closing all day and
Well,
without that.
what was happening, the fluid was going over to the jail and coming back and hitting the vault and going right back over and not running through the entire field,
Oh,
so
okay.
we fixed that, so that gives it more time to cool down, so.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, what the experts say is just cooling that ground with an irrigation system can help.
The percentage of glycol also has an effect on that too.
And do we have some geo wells in this area out beside the jail as well, right? The historic jail, where the old sheriff's, no, we didn't put them where the old sheriff's quarters were, cause we
No,
had the,
They're all,
yeah.
they're all at Fifth and Mulberry, in
Okay.
that area.
Okay. I think we talked about that once, we never did anything, yeah, okay.
Mhm. Yeah, we did some testing, like in this parking lot, and the test came back to the point that we didn't want to move forward.
Yeah, I recall that now. Okay,
So do you want to postpone this and have me ask them what it would cost to add the Red Brick Historic Jail? Or do you want them to put together something just for that and bring that back as a separate piece of this?
that's.
And I say that because they're ready to move forward today if we get this with the boring and.
So the red historic building, what do you mean? You're saying we're not irrigating that portion of it? Or
If you look at just the Walnut Street side, that's all that grass there.
Yeah.
That would not have an irrigation system, based on this proposal. They're gonna sleeve under the road so we could do it in the future. But she was kinda holding off for that potential expansion of the efforts there. And.
Yeah, and I don't think they plan on adding onto the building there.
No.
It would just be whatever
Like a paver
casual
patio.
space that they did, that I didn't wanna have to move an irrigation system when that happens, but we don't know for sure what that's gonna look like or when that's gonna happen, so we certainly could have him do another agreement just for that space.
I think I would rather just move forward with what we already have presented, move on that, and then we'll look at that in the future.
Yeah, put a number to it and see what it is.
Have them
It's
give an
nominal,
estimate.
we could think about it. Okay, so is that a motion,
I'll make a
Santos?
motion as presented.
Okay, Santos, I have a motion by Santos,
Second.
second by Nathan. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. I heard Scott. Opposed, the same? Motion carries. Item number 9D is discussion and possible action to approve position regrading and step placement recommendations. Nancy, did you want to take them? through
I
that?
think Jim wanted to talk to you first.
Okay, Jim, okay, perfect.
Thank you and good morning. As you probably would recall, we have continued to make adjustments as I was appointed interim county attorney, and one of those adjustments we needed to make was to replace the paralegal that Alan had used for quite some time in the office as she chose to pursue another endeavor. That resulted in those office duties that she was doing being reassigned to the other two legal secretaries that are there, who have both been there for a little over 5 years, and put the office in the position of having to take applications to try to fill that third position and get back up to running at full staff. We went through the interview process and we've extended an offer to a legal secretary that's had about a little over 10 years of experience in the legal field already, including the criminal field. We interviewed about a half a dozen folks, ladies that had legal experience and background training, and we've decided to head in that direction. What that does with the current employee employees that are there is put us in a position where we need to look at regrading them. And Nancy and I then went into the job descriptions of the various grades, and we have an 8, which is where those two are currently at. We have a 9, which doesn't cover any legal secretaries, but I believe covers one of the ladies in fine collection. We had a grade 10, and then we had a grade 11. And so what we've landed back on is a recommendation to the board to move the 2 that are grade 8s, the current employees that are doing the work, up to a grade 10, level 1, and then create a level 2, grade 9 for the legal secretary coming in. What that does is it compensates those employees for the work that they're doing that was actually being probably in some part done by them, but administered by somebody else in the office and was telling them what to do and when to do it. So from that standpoint, we would move 2 from 8 to 10. They'd stay on their same steps. We would create the 9 and bring the newest hire in at the bottom end of grade 9. And that's, and then eliminate grade 11 in the sense that from a paralegal standpoint, I don't consider that to be a real possibility in the future, and the pay grade differences in grade 10 and 11 aren't really substantial when it comes to that. So I guess in my mind, we are reacting to what was a fairly unique situation with paralegals' capabilities. You know, those aren't necessarily things you find daily, and that generated some differences in the office in terms of how they would need to be handled. But I think this pulls it back together, creates the 2 positions for legal secretary, and then allows us to grade people and step them up as usual. So.
This is a similar type of setup that we've have in the treasurer's office. They have 3 clerk levels, and so they're able to bring new people in at a lower grade, and as they gain skills specific to the office, there's an opportunity to move them upward. We do the same thing. We have the same thing set up with the assistant to county engineer in that office. We have we have 3 different steps there.
Gives you some career pathing for
Yeah.
professionals to bring them in, and as they mature in the position, you have some flexibility. Good.
And we also looked at overall budget. We would be a little under budget, but we did have to pay out the former employees, so it's gonna be pretty much a wash, but it's obviously working within the parameters of the budget that we have to redistribute and make things more commensurate with what's gonna be happening.
Okay.
Jim, when you talked about moving them from, I don't know, they said level 9 and then or grade 9, level 1 to level 2, giving them the opportunities, and the ones from 8 to 10, did you have any of the job descriptions change so they understand what those levels change in?
We did, as Nancy worked through that, and I approved that as well, yes.
So then those individuals that are potentially coming in at level 1 know what's needed to get to level 2, and that's how those compensations will be changed.
Yes.
Okay. I think I'm good with that. I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Okay, so I have a motion from Santos. Second from Doug. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, the same? Motion carries. Thank you, Jim. Thanks for that explanation. Nancy, did you have anything else for the board this morning?
I do not.
Okay. Item number 10 is to receive information from county employees.
I have
Amy.
one more thing. I ran
Okay.
off too soon.
Yeah,
I just wanted to let you know, the governor's proclamation ran out on July 31st for the treasurer's office for tax penalty. And on motor vehicle registrations, it ends the 31st, but they're allowed 30 days. So they have until the end of August to get anything renewed, title transferred, or done that they bought since January. So we're getting all of that taken care of, and a lot of phone calls. But I think primarily most people had gotten their work done. There was one thing that I've talked to Jim about with the tax sale, and we visited about it a couple weeks ago. But basically, they've kind of left that open to each county treasurer whether or not the tax sale is going to be held. In our tax sale rules, we state that the tax sales taken the third Monday of June is when the normal date is. And then any adjourned sale is 1 month following each month. So the advice of Jim and what most of us are doing is we're just gonna post a notice that the tax sale, the first time we could have had it would be August, the third Monday of June. But I really don't see any reason for the expense of sending out the tax sale notices, the publication list. The amount that we have delinquent isn't a extraordinary amount. I think when I checked it, we're under 400,000 delinquent taxes currently. And a lot of those, that doesn't include the bankruptcy suspensions. I mean, that number is including all of that. So what would normally go to sale is probably 200,000. And it just doesn't seem like it's necessary to do. So, but we do need to post that we are adjourning the sale each month, and most likely we'll still have that choice of having the tax sale any month, but I look to postpone it until next June, so it'll be held at the same time. We'll just have one tax sale next June 2021. So I'm gonna post the sign on the bulletin board that says that the suspension of the tax sale in August will be to the following month, and I just need to put that posting up every month, and I'll put it on our website as well. We haven't had any tax sale investors inquire or argue with us. Some of the bigger counties are, and that's the ones that are looking at holding a tax sale because the investors are pushing them to do that, so.
More to gain, probably.
Yeah.
Amy, while I have you, have you obviously seen an increase in your website use as far as people paying
Yes.
and everything to that effect? Have you got any comments or calls where people say, you know, the website's difficult to use, or questions on how to use that? Have we looked at that knowing that this may be the future of some of the stuff we're doing with maybe Bill or conversations with how
Sure.
to adjust our website?
We've had a lot of calls. The girls are doing an awesome job taking the calls, walking people through it. We can go online along with them and walk them through the steps, because it really isn't. It's not hard to use, but some people are just easily intimidated by it, you know, just getting them started. But for the most part, we can take care of their transaction on the phone as well. If they call, we always ask them how they were planning on paying. If they were gonna pay with a credit card, we can take the credit card payment over the phone and process it for them. If they don't have internet access, we've walked them through putting the things together, putting it in the Dropbox. We have not had a whole lot of challenges that we haven't been able to get taken care of. The difficult transactions for title transfers, we're making appointments to get them taken care of, but for renewals, we pretty much.
I just noticed that some of different counties have different formats for their
Sure.
websites, and so I didn't know if there was a universal one that may have been easier. And I personally am good with what we have. I'm just asking if you've had that
Yeah.
comment back in regards to.
We've looked at putting more instructions on how to fill out a title application, because some people still can't make it in during our office hours times, you know, so we have the applications out in the supply box under the Dropbox. We have a video, we have screenshots of step by step, and I mean, I could wallpaper the window out there with how to do things, but what we find is people don't take the time to read, to look, to follow it through. They just want the quick answer. So it's a lot easier for them to just pick up the phone and call and,
Yeah,
you
we
know.
see that. There's usually a lot of people out the door.
Yeah. It's getting better, and for the most part, like I said, we haven't had a lot of complaints or anything. We're getting everything taken care of. But we have seen an increase, and I do an annual spreadsheet of our collections. And, of course, our collections were down for March and April, but then they picked right back up through the end of the year and now. But I think our annual, last year, online percentage of transactions for just web renewals were about 22% on motor vehicle, and it was 35. So that's a significant increase. Property tax, we've seen an increase every year, because a lot of those mortgage companies and escrow accounts, they pay the taxes for the individuals. And we have a lot that are set up on scheduled payments, so they're using that more as well.
Great, thank you, Amy.
Yep.
Any other county employee wanna, Jim?
Thank you. I didn't mean to cut anybody off. Just to update you on the jury trial off courthouse site locations. We visited a couple more facilities last Friday afternoon and looked at them. We currently have looked at 4 possibilities, I think, as I described last week. As I indicated last week, I was going to check with ICAP just to double check on our insurance, make sure that as we look at moving into any one of these venues that we have insurance and things are covered from that perspective. I've done that. ICAP has weighed back in, and I've sent our certificate of insurance for the county to the school system. The reason we've done that is the pilot jury program trial that's set for August 17th looks like it will be at Central Middle School auditorium. And so the plan is to get up there this week with the players and make sure we understand the configuration of furniture and rooms and make sure that we have IT and those things covered so that we can at least do the jury selection without any hitches, if at all possible. Then once we see how that goes, we will have to coordinate with the other locations as we move forward. I have booked Central Auditorium on Mondays, which covers District Court. We've not booked anything on Wednesdays, which covers the Associate District Court, so that's still in play. In terms of costs, 3 of the 4 locations there isn't a cost to utilize them. They have been gracious enough, and I don't mean to say that the other is not being gracious, it's just the way the red tape goes. We looked at the Armory. Scott recommended that to me last week after our meeting, and so we did go down Friday afternoon and take a look at the Armory. That's one that does have a potential daily charge and or a weekly charge. So we're still working through those details, and we'll have to make sure that each location can have the appropriate setup for us, and that IT audio for the most part, but visual, if we have to do some trials offsite, we've got to be able to do things electronically, make sure the system's compatible and works with the state, because they're all online, so that has to dovetail and work. So that continues to be a bit fluid. I was asked last Friday to commit to booking the locations through my office. I agreed that was probably the best thing to do, since it's going to be the county insurance that's going to be on it. We'll be prosecuting it and obviously coordinating with the court, but it probably makes the most sense for us to do that. And I anticipate using somebody in our office for that effort. So that's an update. I don't know if there's any questions or not.
Did we ever look at the Ag Learning Center?
No, I did not personally, and that
I
was.
know Eric was talking about where he had his meetings with, was it zoning, planning and zoning had,
Which center?
the Ag Learning Center?
Oh, the ag
I'm
learning?
not sure that would be.
Discoveries where Eric had it.
Oh,
Yeah, because you wouldn't
Discovery
probably
Center,
want
not
to
the ag
go
learning.
center.
It's just a size,
I don't think it's big enough to do jury selection,
Right.
because you gotta handle like 100 people.
Well, they said 50, 60 is what they'll be bringing in, so by the time you do that in 6-foot circles, it's,
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can't do it in there, unfortunately.
yeah, the facilities are, the ones that we've looked at, I think, I'm not sure the armory would quite be there if they brought in 60 people, but it would be close. But the others are definitely big enough, and then a couple of them even have an option to break down to a smaller room if we had to do the jury trial there once the jury was selected, with a smaller group of people if we have conflicts at the courthouse trying to get things scheduled and going. So it continues to be a bit fluid. The Supreme Court issued additional direction today, not really changing a lot, but it is fluid. So all we can do is try to react and move forward and get things going again. Thank you.
Very good, Jim. Thank you. Any other county employees? Okay. Next item on the agenda is to receive comments from the public. Is there anyone from the public wishing to comment? Bill is indicating he has no public online that's indicated.
No.
Okay. So hearing none, meeting is adjourned.